You've probably heard mention in the news of the massive deaths of honeybee populations. Entire colonies are dying of a syndrome known as colony collapse disorder. No single cause of colony collapse disorder has been identified, but theories range from climate change to habitat loss to disease and parasites. Regardless of the exact cause, bee colonies are dying. 30% of hives die each winter, going as far back as 2006. This has huge implications for agriculture because pollinators like bees pollinate 2/3 of the world's agricultural crops. Think of all the food you've eaten in the last 24 hours. Do you know how much of it was reliant upon pollinators? Let's look at some of the common foods you might find in your pantry or kitchen and find out what would happen to them in a world without pollinators. First, we have apples, cranberries, and oranges. 90% of the pollination of these crops is reliant upon honeybees, so without pollinators, we wouldn't have them. And you might not think milk would be impacted, but dairy cows eat things like alfalfa hay, which are reliant upon bees for pollination. So without pollinators, we wouldn't be able to maintain cow populations and wouldn't have milk or butter. And yes, that also means no more beef. What about almonds? Well, over 1 million honeybee colonies are brought to California almond orchards every year, orchards that are 100% reliant on pollination by honeybees. And without those honeybees, we also wouldn't have honey or onions or squash. And these are just a small percentage of the crops that would disappear without pollinators. What we would be left with is many grains, like corn and wheat, which use the wind for pollination. This wouldn't make for a very healthy or tasty diet. Without bees, plants don't get fertilized and don't produce fruits. Honeybees pollinate $15 billion worth of crops each year. So what can you do? First, you can support organizations like the Honeybee Conservancy so they can continue to do their important work educating and protecting bee populations. I also encourage you to find similar organizations in your community and help them however you can. But there are also things you can do more directly to help support bee populations and protect their habitat. If you have a garden, plant pollinator-friendly plants like asters, hyacinths, and crocuses. If you live in an urban area, get involved in your community and develop green spaces or create your own miniature bee garden in a window box. Be very mindful of your pesticide use, and if you choose to use pesticides, avoid pesticides that are harmful to bees. And bees don't only live in hives, so you can build a house for solitary bees like this. A bee house can be anything from a bundle of hollow reeds in a sheltered pipe to holes drilled in a block of wood. It's a small thing that can provide a home for important wild pollinators. And if you'd really like to be hands-on in helping bees, you can tend your own hive. The best way to get started is to get involved with a local beekeeping club. I've included links and tutorials for all of the things I've mentioned in the description, including a long list of organizations working to help bee populations. If you have other ideas of how to help, let me know in the comments. I also want to mention that bee populations are not just important for agriculture. The entire world's ecosystem is reliant upon pollinators, from small flowering plants in your garden to lush shrubs in the rainforest. Without bees, flowering plants would die off. Investing in pollinators is investing in our future. Plus, bees are really cute. Thank you so much for watching and happy Project for Awesome. Please let me know in the comments what your favorite thing about bees is or any other pollinator.